Hello guys. Alright, so this one we're going to be doing a redhead. So I was just thinking in my head, like, a redhead drake and a hen is going to be the same basic format, except the hen, when you do the final darkening with the black, you just darken it more, like more uniformly over. And it's like the same, you know, drake is lighter, more definition, or more colors and showing through, I guess. The hen is going to be just a little bit more subdued, but the same still kind of whitish ring at the end and the same kind of colors and stuff. So anyway, so first thing, same thing from the pintail video. We got like our diver gray we used for the feet and stuff mixed up in a big whopping batch. Okay, mic's on. I was like, great, been talking to myself. And then I'll have white. I don't think I'm going to need it, but there's another reason I like to use white is, like, you'll see in a second when I go and I'm going to clean off the paint, because it gives it such a better look, the transition from dark to light, as opposed to painting it and then painting on a white over it, because when you do that it just looks fake. I mean, it looks, because white is one of those colors where there's no such thing as really white. It's like there's just so many different kind of shades, and your eyes pick up on it super easy. And you almost want it to be kind of like a dirty looking white, like a, God, I wish there was a word for it. Almost like an eggshell, or a, it's just the transitions look different when you, anyway, I can sit here and describe it for 10 freaking years, but how about I just do it? Good idea. Alright, so diver gray, I'm going to mute it because it's a compressor, and again, you don't want to hear this. Whoa, calm down there, buckwheat. Alright, so now we'll do the gray. Alright, so all I did is just, I kind of went to the line of about where I'm gonna, you know, have the white, and then I just did a nice even coat of gray. So from here, I'll do, I just get a cup with some lacquer thinner, because that's gonna be, I'm just cleaning up the gray because I'm about to transition to a different color. So I'll just do a lacquer thinner. And this, I'll use this to clean my brush later too, which, damn it, now that I think about it, I have it black from the pintail video. So, pardon my intermission. So then what I'm going to do here is kind of get this cleaned out, which I should have done before, my bad. Alright. And so then I'm just going to try to make a nice little line. So the white of, so this would be the white kind of section of a redhead. Obviously there's going to be black over here, and this just kind of gives, so it cleans it, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't look painted white. It looks like it's white from underneath. And then if you have any like residual, just kind of come back over. Any of that stuff gets on the end part, doesn't matter. That's going to be black, so it's not going to make a difference there. So, golly, man, there's like a little spot right there I'm not getting straight. And so you just want it to get pretty straight. As, you know, it really didn't, if you look at a real redhead, you know, like everything else, nothing's really perfect, truly. So there you go. Now we have kind of a crisp line that we made. And then as we go over with black too, that's going to kind of diffuse some of any of the edges that are kind of too sharp. So sometimes I do. It depends on what kind of gray I'm using. I'm going to go ahead and just give it a little smoocheroo with some pale blue. So let me pause that, and then we'll finish it up. Okay, that didn't take anywhere near as long as I thought it would. So then that's basically just kind of getting the blue, just kind of giving it that a little bit of that color. Um, so it's like it depends on. I went to kind of more of a little, like a very hint of green. I used a black green when I mixed this up, the diver gray. I think before I'd mentioned I used buckskin tan, rich brown. Mainly it's like majority buckskin, and then I'll drip in black and rich brown until and mix, drip in, mix until I get to where I want to be. And then black green I have from the old bass thing, and so I mix just a smidge of that in, and that kind of gives it like a dark grayish, little greenish kind of hue to it. And if you look at a lot of the divers when you first get them, they have like a little bit of a greenish kind of inflection in the color. So, all right, so now, like before, sorry for coughing in your ears. Now it's just black. And so all I'm doing here, because I have the audio off, I'll kind of do the outline like on the pintail, like a rough outline for the end. I'm going to do just a little bit around, obviously, the bottom. And the main thing is I'm going to be darkening. I'll point so I'm not like a freaking Neanderthal. I'm going to be darkening mainly along the sides. And then that'll be, it's kind of like, basically it'll be like a gradient, right? You have your white, your gray, and then it darkens as it goes towards the back, and that gives it a cool look. So we'll do that, and then I'll unmute it. I'll do the rest of the touching up with the brush, sprink with the mat, and then we'll have ourselves a redhead. So I'm gonna mute it, and let's do it. two things from this that I just thought of. When you're doing the darkening, make sure you go to the left or on another surface and kind of see like what your output is. So like for a second there I was spraying and nothing was coming out, but then if you push too much, all of a sudden you get the too dark. Kind of get the output at an even flow and then move over to the bill and kind of get a little bit of a distance. So I just made the end like we talked about, just do the, I don't know, rough outline. And then the other part's just going to be, they have a lot of black, a big line basically in their nostrils. On the bottom, the other thing is make sure you're almost going to have to, like, in order to get all the angles, you're going to have to really turn it both ways. And you're going to have to like really work the airbrush along the crease of the bill to get that black. Obviously make sure to keep from getting on the bill itself, but you're going to kind of have to get that angle where it's kind of going deep in there, or do that with the paintbrush, because otherwise it's going to be, if anybody were to look in there kind of in the crevice, and then they're going to see a bunch of white and it kind of take away from it. Ooh, I'll be back. Alright, so now the Mr. Compressor's got his lungs of air. So then the last step is just going to be, you want the nostrils especially to be, obviously get in the nostril itself, but in front of it and then behind it. So it makes, or you know what, I'll have a nice little, so you have this compared to that. So you have the actual nostril and then a little bit all around it. Nothing wrong with that. Same thing as I said before, a lot of birds with a little bit of an outline. It's not a bad thing. It's kind of like, gives a little bit of crispness to the color without without, what's the word? I don't know. It's Sunday. So same thing on the nostril here, right? Watch me do it twice. Exciting. And then I'm just going to do the end part here. God, so hard to do. So again, I'm just trying to like sharpen up the lines that I made from the airbrush. Because no matter how detailed the airbrush is, it's almost always going to have, just by virtue of how the paint is coming out. I mean, compressed air is pushing air out, so obviously it's going to have a little bit of a spray around the edges, and that's pretty much it, man. And then you have a nice, I know it's shiny, but it'll dry nice and flat. So then we have, from where we started, we have the nice little transitional line, we have sharp around here, we have a lighter to darker going this way, nice little edges around the bill. We'll do the same thing with the paddle bit. Just make sure you kind of like scratch a little line around her, and especially down here. Like, I mean, I get a lot of redheads. So this is like, I actually have like 5 different molds for these, because you may do a group and there'll be like half of them will be freaking redheads. So, and same with pintails. So I have like molds. I think I've showed them before, but I have a lot of multiple molds. Like this is all just pintails, so I can just bloop, 3 at a time. I can tell you it beats the freaking hell out of doing it 1 at a time. So last thing, we'll just kind of, and again, you can do the whole rub your shirt thing. Just to be honest, sometimes I just don't feel in the mood to rub and then reapply and then rub and then reapply. Just make sure you don't do too much, because it'll smear the paint. But as this dries, it'll give it that well, here's the pintail from before we did. So the sheen is a lot more subdued, but if you were to have a real bird next to it, it'd be very similar, where it's like almost wet looking, but like something that's wet and kind of drying around the edge. It's still kind of wet underneath, but it's a little bit, I know that doesn't make sense. I'm actually not drunk, folks. I'm just that scatterbrained, I guess. So that's the Redhead, and next we'll do the ring neck, which is a little bit more, well, a little bit more complex, but I guess that just depends on your definition of complex. But so similar concepts as to these. You could see this one's a little more bluish, which is supposed to be similar ideas as far as, you know, making the sharper lines. I guess really the only difference is you have a little bit more shading towards the back to darken it, whereas this is more uniform throughout. But everything else is pretty similar. So this would be a nice little redhead head here, and that's it. So again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. It's awesome to see the subscribers. Feel free to comment. You know, hopefully something fairly nice. Nothing, no, hey, you're a stupid jerk or whatever. Other than that, we'll just keep on rocking. We only have Snow Goose, right? So I still have a few others to do. Actually, I have a lot of others to do, but getting there. So ring neck next. I'm going to post all these up today. So I'll have them up, you know, kind of in the library, and then I'm going to be on this probably for a little bit. I may revisit some of the older ones before I had kind of like a more uniform setup. Maybe I'll try to do that, and just kind of going through the list. So anyway, thanks guys. See you later.